I'd like to welcome you and thank you all for joining us for our public policy series, which is sponsored by AT&T. And I'm Paula Fowler, the Executive Director for the Chamber. Your Chamber is focused on information, services, and advocacy. And our public policy series represents all three of these points. This is the fourth in our series, and we want to thank you for supporting this new endeavor this year. Today, we're very pleased to have with us our Boyle County Judge Executive Harold McKinney and our Danville City Manager Paul Stansbury. They will give us executive briefings on their respective governments. But before we get to Harold and Paul, I do want to recognize someone very special in our audience. And I always get choked up when something like this happens, but I want to introduce Major Stephanie White from the U.S. Army, who's joined us today with her mother, Rachel. She's just returned from a year-long deployment to Afghanistan. Major White, would you please stand to be recognized? I just want to say thank you personally, too, for your service to our country. We all tremendously respect all that you do and our service people, so thank you. Now, I'm very pleased to introduce David Weller. He's the Regional Director and a 34-year veteran of AT&T, and he's going to introduce our speaker. I also like to promote something else he does. He's founder and CEO of Weller Communications that works with business and nonprofits, facilitating leadership skill development, increasing creativity and effective building of teams. He does this for corporate citizens as well as chambers of commerce, and he helped us out this year, and we were very, very appreciative. But AT&T is our sponsor for the Public Policy Series, and I just want to say thank you again, David. We're very grateful for that support.
Good afternoon. We could almost reconvene this at the pool, and I bet you I could get a majority of you to agree. Welcome back. Thanks for your service to our country. On behalf of AT&T, I just want to thank you for being here and express my appreciation for the opportunity to sponsor this series. Citizen engagement is so important, particularly in these times that we're living in right now. And understanding what's going on with those that represent us and the viewpoints that they're expressing and the bodies that represent us is so important. It's important that we become engaged, and so we're very, very happy to have the opportunity to sponsor this public policy series this year. And I hope those of you have been to, some of the faces I've seen at all four that we've had so far, so I want to thank you. I hope that you've enjoyed those, and if this is your first time, welcome, and thank you for joining us. I have also the responsibility of giving you short bios for City Manager Stansbury and Judge McKinney. My understanding is they did a rock, paper, scissors before the meeting, and Judge McKinney said he lost again. So the first speaker will be Paul Stansbury, our City Manager. Stansbury served 4 months as Danville's interim City Manager starting in April 2007. In August of that year, his role was made permanent with a new contract. He has a master's degree in public administration and has worked as a public administration specialist with the Bluegrass Area Development District. And he was contracted to help Danville. He's worked as a human relations director, purchasing manager, and training and development coordinator in the private sector, often starting up those programs at the companies where he worked, including Wausau Paper, Bay West, and Harrodsburg. He and his wife Joan currently live in Danville. Then I'm going to go ahead and introduce also Judge McKinney very quickly, as they'll follow each other to the podium. You don't want to hear me speak, and this will allow you to get directly connected to the folks that represent you here in the community. So Judge McKinney has served as head of the Boyle County government since April 1st, 2008. Oh, Paul, if it's okay, Judge McKinney wanted me to remind you the city is in the county also. I don't know what that meant, but I thought I would share it with you. After he was appointed by the departed county judge, Executive Tony Wilder, after fulfilling Wilder's expired term, McKinney was reelected to the post in 2008. He has worn a number of hats in Boyle County and across the state, including serving as an assistant county attorney and a small business owner. McKinney lives in Boyle County with his wife, Carol. Would you welcome initially City Manager Stansbury?
Thank you. Can everybody hear at this level? Great. Again, Major White, thank you for service to our country, and any and all veterans that we have who are in the audience, thank you. Judge McKinney told me he had about 40 minutes of prepared speech, so I'm going to be very brief. So anyway, we discussed this in our Monday morning coordination meeting, which we do every week, which has been one of the wonderful things that Judge McKinney started to improve our coordination of efforts. So I'll let him talk more about that type of thing and the wonderful relationship that we do have with our county. And I'm very pleased to be able to share the podium with you, Judge, today. But I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the city, and then later on I think we'll have some opportunity for questions if the judge gets his 40-minute speech done quickly. But we're going to talk about the city as an enterprise within Boyle County, and a proud part of Boyle County. For those of you who don't know, we have 16 square miles in the city, and 132 miles of streets, including our state highways, 135 employees, and a $27 million budget, which is a pretty good sized enterprise for Central Kentucky. And it takes a lot of effort and a lot of planning. It takes a lot of dedication by our Board of Commissioners and the mayor, as well as the staff in the city, to run an enterprise of this size. I don't know how familiar you are with our utilities that the city runs. We are a regional water and sanitary sewer utility. We treat and transmit approximately 160 million gallons of water per month to over 50,000 customers. We don't have 50,000 inside the city, but we wholesale water, and we do have retail customers outside of our city. So we are a primary regional water utility in the Central Kentucky area. We treat approximately 141 million gallons of wastewater per month. And that's primarily for the city of Danville and the immediate environment around us. But we are a regional wastewater treatment plant. And so we consider ourselves stewards of valuable resources in the water, and we also consider ourselves a necessary player in keeping our waters clean and pristine here in the community in Boyle County and Kentucky. In addition, it's interesting to note that even though we have this operation, according to Bluegrass Area Development District, our water rates are among the lowest in Central Kentucky. In fact, they measure about 6 categories. We are the lowest in at least 4 of those categories, and I don't think we go any higher than third lowest in any of the rest of them. But it's interesting to understand those types of things about the enterprise of the city. Cities typically engage in those activities which don't fall to private enterprise. And if you look at our city, we're providing police protection, fire protection in our public safety sector of the government. We take care of the public roads other than the state highways that we have, our cemeteries, our green spaces, and we take care in a joint cooperation with the county government. I'll let the judge talk more about that. Our 911 center, dispatch center, communication center here in town that services the entire Boyle community. And so we have a lot of varied enterprises, and I think those of you who are in private industry would kind of look at our operation and say, I wouldn't want that much diversity in my operation. Let's get down to our core operation, and we don't need to deal with this, and we don't need to deal with that. But cities step in, and that's our purpose, is to undertake those activities which normally we wouldn't expect private industry to come in and take care of. So it's quite a diverse operation for us. And I can talk about a little bit to you, give you some idea about our budget and what we do. We were looking at this. Taxes account for about 30% of our general fund revenues. Licenses and permits account for about 56% of our general fund revenues.